And welcome tonight to our Milton Bell Global Media podcast. Once again, I'm blessed to be and honored to be with one of my mentors tonight. I'm Coach Roland Ross, and this is his second time. He was recently on our 702 podcast on the 18th of September. And so tonight we're blessed to be with his incredible family. To be with his wife and two daughters. We are blessed to have them with us tonight. And it's for me, it's one of those things that words cannot describe, to have not only Coach Ross, but his entire family with us tonight. And so I'm really thankful to have him with us. Coach Ross, we're back again tonight, brother. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you back with us this week. You and I have been talking about trying to share some positive energy weekly with our listeners. And so I'm honored to have you back, Coach Roland C. Ross Jr. from the NCAA Division III national champions. Coach Ross, are you there with us tonight, my brother?
Absolutely. How you doing, Coach Bell?
Hey, Coach.
All is well.
Good, Coach. We are. You and I have been talking and having a chance to let people in on what you and I talk about. Trying to help some kids weekly, daily basis. And so I'm blessed tonight to have your wife, Mrs. Bettina Ross, as well as your two daughters, Bettina Ross as well, is named after her mother, who is 22 years old, and her sister Victoria Ross, who is 26 years old. Young ladies, are you also there with me?
Hello. Hi, we are here.
Yes, Mrs. Ross, how about you? As we call you, the general of the Ross family, Mrs. Bettina Ross, are you also there with us? Mother Ross, as you are called in your church, in the First Baptist Morrison Church in Newport News. Ms. Ross, are you also there with us?
Yes, I'm here with you all.
Yes, yes, ma'am. It's such a pleasure to have you guys, and I do apologize for holding you guys and having you guys, or with the delay. We are here on the East Coast, and here on the East Coast, it's 12:30, almost 1 o'clock. So first and foremost, I want to apologize to the Ross family for having them stay up with us so late. And but this will be the first of many parts with the Ross family, and we especially will be having the name of this podcast is The Champion and the Ross Sisters, right? Bettina and Victoria Ross, they are a movement within themselves. Very proud of these two young ladies who have been raised the right way. They have their heads on, of course, who their mother and father are. They both are deacons in the church. Coach Roland C. Ross Sr., Jr., and Miss Bettina Ross. They are both deacons at the church. Family, it's a pleasure to have you guys with us again. You guys will hear me say throughout the night what a privilege it is for me. But Coach Ross, I just can't say enough for you taking the time and sharing some wisdom with us tonight, Coach.
No worries. I was blessed to marry a young lady that for another discussion, we always ask the question, who caught whose eye? So, irregardless of who caught whose eye, we were able to have two nice young ladies that we brought into this world that are just good representations of our family and of our foundational principles that we've learned from, First Baptist Church Morrison in Newport News. So I'm excited that they are excited about being here tonight to share some good news that God has been to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, sir, Coach. Yes, sir, family. It's something that just with this program that we're currently on, it's called Youth and Society, and so it's something that we started to try to help our youth navigate the landmines of society, right? And so it's something that I am blessed to have a network where I can invite one of my mentors on with his incredible family. And we also tonight will be talking to the Ross sisters, but Bettina in particular, who is traveling to Africa coming up in October. And so Victoria, in her own right, is a entrepreneur. She's 26. Bettina, if you will, we want to kind of get you before we start in with your dad. We'll have you throughout the night just shed some light and talk to our listeners about what you plan to embark on and the incredible journey that you have coming up to Kenya, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Um, as we're talking about youth in society, I get the incredible privilege to go all the way across the world and touch some youth over in Kenya. Through my church, I've been just gifted the opportunity to go with a group of people in the name of Jesus to spread hope in some hard places where poverty is an issue that stops a lot of people from having hope and feeling loved, and really receiving a lot more than what they believe they deserve. So with this group, I get to go over and not only just provide tangible resources through the donations and the gifts that we bring, but to provide encouragement and spiritual hope that there's life, not only that you can live more abundantly here on earth, but when they die, they'll have a hope too in heaven.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm writing down. That was Coach Ross. That was very powerful what that young lady just said. I'm writing it down. Spreading hope in some hard places.
Yeah.
Bettina, yes, I try to write down. And we also have a quote from you that we would love for you to share with us as well coming up throughout the segment. But I want to repeat what you just said. You will be traveling to Africa in October 2023 to spread some hope, to spreading hope in some hard places.
Yeah.
Talk about that. That's a very, Coach Ross, that's not a normal mindset for a 22-year-old African American young lady to have. If I can say so myself, in my humble opinion, my personal humble opinion, that's not that's not a dream that a 22-year-old African American male would have. What? Of course, I know you're special because I know your parents. I want you to share a little bit about what makes you gifted enough to think like that at 22 years old, if you will.
Yeah, I've been so extremely blessed to have experienced hope in a way on this side of the world where I can see beyond my own environment, my own needs, and help others. Within my upbringing specifically, my parents always taught me that there is something to be hopeful for, that there's always a hope, there's always something to look forward to. And that was due to their foundation in the Word and just finding a hope in Jesus, that when we feel hopeless or our situation in front of us might look like there is no hope, there's always a way, there's always a hope, there's always one in Him. So they really taught me that growing up and placed me in a community full of people who constantly poured into me and were a tangible picture of that hope, that I didn't have to wonder, I didn't have to try to imagine what that looked like. I felt that with the people around me. And I was even that much more blessed to be given a sister to do this life with the older I got. So we now live together, and she constantly just reminds me of the hope that I have. And we're able to help each other continue to have that hope. So as I have that hope, all I want is to be able to share that with other people.
Wow. Victoria, are you there with us still as well? Victoria, 26 years old, the young lady that's I feel will be, of course, raised by the same incredible parents. I would love for you to share with our listeners your interpretation, because Bettina clearly has her interpretation of your parents' message of positivity. Victoria, I would love to know and hear some words from you at 26 years old. Your way and words that you interpreted the same message that your sister is clearly is getting. She's 4 years younger than you, so I would love to hear what your vision and view of the world is. Of course, the Ross sisters will be back with us, as Coach and Miss Ross will be back, but I want to share with our listeners, because they will be hearing much more from you, from a 26-year-old young lady in 2023, African American young lady. What's your interpretation of life this far?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mr. Milton. I am still on the line, and if you'll allow me to introduce myself as a 26-year-old African American woman in America, my life's mission, I've discovered, is to love God and love people and do that well. And so watching my sister get a chance to serve God across the world is an absolute privilege to have that front row seat. And I think she has almost shaped my view to be a little different than what it always was. We had the same upbringing, same parents, same community, but she has broken this glass ceiling that was always there, that our service had to stop with what we saw in front of us. But now it's like God is moving everywhere in the entire world, and she gets a chance to be a part of it. So I am thankful for two things: that one, she is pursuing God, and two, that God is pursuing her. That gives me hope, because that means he's in the neighborhood, right? So he can absolutely hit me, he can hit my mom and my dad in a brand new way. And so I'm just excited to live out this life with my sister in a supportive role, and where I get to watch God work through her in incredible and new ways.
Yes, young lady. Yes, it's the positivity, because it's for me as a 53-year-old man. Society, CNN, MSNBC, Coach Ross, I'm sure you will agree, they don't paint. They for some reason don't paint our African American youth in a positive light. When you turn on CNN, it's about African American boys killing other African American boys. And so today, I know bundles of incredible people, but for to hear these young ladies speak that type of positivity, Coach, it is clear that and Mrs. Ross, it's clear that these young ladies have clearly listened and they paid attention when you were talking. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I know this, of course, but I want our listeners to understand, first and foremost, what Coach Ross means to my family, but also to my career in basketball. And I just am overwhelmed and overjoyed to have the chance to, have Coach Ross back, the basketball champion. And, the White House. He's been to the White House with the team. He's been to the governor's mansion here. But they say, and we should be judged on, we are judged. I knew that I was a representation of my mother and father, so I had extra pressure on me to do something positive, because I was not only representing myself, but I was representing my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncles, my entire family. Whether I was on ESPN or I was in McDonald's in Churchill, I still had to carry myself the same way. And it's a breath of fresh air because as you get older, you maybe don't see eye to eye where society is. Of course, as you get older, you stop participating in society as much. You don't go out as much. You just go places that you have to go. You don't have extra time to go these places and socialize with people. So you kind of can become out of touch with reality, right? Especially with the newest fashion, the newest talking, the newest way that the young people move, social media, emails. I think Bettina and I were just saying, Coach and Mrs. Ross, we were just saying that I'm noticing that the younger generation moves, Coach Ross, they move through email, whereas my generation, we're just learning text messaging. These young people, they have the wherewithal and the knowledge to send emails. It's quicker. It's technology. It's the way of the world. Coach Ross, how does it feel to have Mrs. Ross? How does it feel to have two incredible young ladies to carry on your legacy, the Ross name, the Ross family? Miss Ross, if you will, I would love to have you, Mother Ross, as you're called at church. How does it feel to have two incredible young ladies that you've clearly gotten through to and are not only understand their path, but they're trying to help other people start their path at a young age? You have a young daughter at 22 years old who is embarking on a trip to Africa next month. You also have another daughter that understands that family and God come first. I'm sure if we could bottle up the recipe, we would be rich from you, Mrs. Ross. But what do you attribute it to? I know you're going to say God, but I'm sure you realize that it's not normal to have two offspring that think the same way. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Milton. First, I want to say I just always have felt that we are a family and we are all on the same team. So I've always raised them to think that we all are working together to be better. And I always tell them this quote: life is a miracle. To live your life is a gift, and how you unwrap your gift is up to you. So Roland and I have given them a great foundation, and we're so proud of these young ladies, how they have matured over the years. And we're just really overjoyed. And like you said, we do put God first, because if it had not been for God on our side, I don't know where we would be as a family. But we have always put Him first, and they have had great mentors in their life. Not only Roland and I, but it takes a village to raise children, to raise a child. We have had extended family to step in. We have church members. We have had our pastors, Marcellus Lee Harris Jr. He's been a great part of our lives for over 40 years. It's just been so many great people in the community that have supported us. And I really do give honor to my mother, because she was just one of a kind to this family. Always have pushed us to do our best. And she always have taught me to remember that you are a family and you're all on the same team. So what you need to do is work together. And we have always tried to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Once again, Ms. Ross, I can't say thank you enough for allowing us to be live here from the East Coast at almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I do apologize. I promise Coach and I will be wrapping up here pretty soon. Coach, I don't think we've ever, we talk on the phone this late, but I don't think we've ever been live. So this is something new for us, but I promise that we will be doing the ones in the future. We will be earlier in the day. Like I said, I got a late start on my evening. And so I do apologize, Ms. Ross, for keeping the family up so late. Coach Ross, you can come on in now, brother. You can say a few words. You and I will have many more chances, but it's just such a pleasure to have your family with us, to have you with us, but to have your wife and your kids on for the first time. Once again, we're honored. Coach Ross, national champion. How does it feel to be a national champion? I know we asked you this before on the other program, but we'll ask you again in front of your family. How does it feel to know that you are the best in the world in your division?
Well, thank you for asking me that. It's kind of hard to come behind what just happened the last few comments from the ladies and their mother.
Tough crowd, Coach. Tough to follow that, brother. You and I are going to try to continue on. It's tough to follow. Tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Tough to follow that. Tough to follow that. But let me say it in this regard. I'm going to always refer back to, she talked about that gift that you're unwrapping, right?
Yes.
Part of that gift that we're unwrapping is the mentality, the vision and the mentality of a champion. And all of us, it was stated in the Bible that God gave each and every one of us a gift. And it just happened to be that in our family, the baby had a chance to see the sister being trained and coached by her mom and her dad. So, we are a family of competitors. We compete to see who wash the dishes, and we're gonna compete to see who take out the trash. But at the end of the day, we're still a family. And they've been supporting me for years. We've been knocking on that door for a championship. We've won so many conference championships and Elite Eights and Sweet 16s, but the special part, I guess for me, the special part of winning a national championship was to do it where my kids can see it being done. When you get a chance to do anything at the highest level and you're teaching the youth in the 21st century that if you stay together, and my wife says this quote, I don't know if it may correlate to our team. Every day you wake up, you got to pray and you got to keep pressing. And we were fortunate enough to press our way through and come out on the winning side of it. But in life, just like my wife said about unwrapping that gift, we just believe that everything you do it with a high level of excellence that God would want you to have, is that the championship in you will always, old folks used to say, the cream gonna always rise to the top. And at my age right now, I'm trying to make sure that I still rise above these ladies when they try to compete with me, but I'm not having much luck lately, but that's all right. That's a story for another day. But yeah, we've been blessed and we've been real fortunate, and we've had a whole lot of people that have sent up prayers for us, and our team did well, our family's doing well, and my wife and I, we're just very proud of these ladies that, if they keep putting that right foot in front of the left, they always tell you about who's carrying you in the sand. And sometimes, you got to realize that there's a higher being above that makes sure that everything is all right. So we're very proud and very, very fortunate and very blessed, and we're hoping better days are to come.
Yeah.
So thank you for allowing us to be a family and to emulate what family is all about, even though there's some tough times. So we do really appreciate all that you're doing, Milton, with the youth, and we're just hoping that at her age, at 22, what she's doing, that I just hope one day I get a chance to keep being a good living example. And we're just very proud and very fortunate and very blessed.
Yes, sir, Coach. It's blessed. Blessed is an understatement because I think us as parents, we, as they should, people judge you or judge us, I should say, or judge me, unfortunately. In the athletic world, the words putting in work, people always apply it to playing sports or lifting weights. You're going to the gym to put in work. You're trying to lift weights or work on your body. You're working on something. To me, I also tell my students to put in work in the classroom. Right? That's the type of work. Yes, you can go to the gym and put in all the work you want to, but I think young kids should have the mindset like your kids do. Hey, I'm going to put this work in early in trying to be, to get my education first, and then I will have some options. God will tell you what to do. Now, he'll guide you through the rest, but you got to do your part. So you have to be in position. You have to have your education. I don't care what your nationality, your religion is, what color you are, what country you come from. You have to have some form of education so you can have a form of employment that will sustain you, right? Young people have so many ways nowadays to seek and to obtain employment. They have the internet. You can go on Google and find a job, and they will give you a number to call. You don't even have to go in to human resources. You can get the job online without ever going into the building until you start officially, the first day.
Right.
Or you can get the job online and then you work online and you've never seen your boss face to face. You work online, you work, your company's in Japan somewhere, and everything is done. So I love I'm gonna say all that to say, Coach Ross and Mrs. Ross, I say all of that to say that young people have more options than we did. I was born in 1970. I'm 53 years old. We didn't have many options. Me growing up in the Randolph area of Richmond, Virginia, and traveling to middle school in Highland Park, East Highland Park, Richmond, Virginia, then going to high school in North Side, Richmond, Virginia. We didn't have those choices in 1988 when I came out of school. There were, Coach Ross, I'm sure you and I can attest to there being very few options for an African-American man after high school. You could go to the military. You could go to, your parents probably didn't have enough money, didn't make enough money to get you to pay for a college. You had to have grades. I went to Georgetown with a lot of African-American students that were there on scholarship, like I was on basketball scholarship. And it really opened my mind to, wow, these people must be really smart, because they're saying that I'm one of the 25 best in the country by being a McDonald's All-American. In basketball, I was one of the 25 best, but I had to give that person respect for being clearly one of the best 25 in the nation in education. Coach Ross, talk a little bit about what you do and the lives that you and your team of coaches are saving down at Christopher Newport University. And we'll get you to talk a little bit about your impact, you being a deacon at your church. Once again, First Baptist Morrison Church in Newport News. Coach Ross, touch a little bit on the subject of you coming from Norfolk, Virginia, inner city young man, to where you are now, and what you have clearly instilled in your kids. Talk a little bit about, and I'm sure you talked a little bit about your upbringing on our previous show, but I want you to go back and kind of touch on what it is, or how hard it is. The same question I asked Mrs. Ross. How hard is it to, and what do you attest the blessing of having two young ladies to carry on your family name, if you will?
Absolutely. That's a phenomenal question to ask. Let me back up a little bit, because I don't think that the champion in the girls happened overnight. I think when my family moved from Norfolk to Newport News, I'm gonna give you a little timeline, and then I'm tying in the girls through the timeline, because what you just said is what I want the listeners to understand. Part of being successful, if you don't go through struggles, there's no progress. And I want to piggyback off of a little bit of what my wife said about her mom and my mom and our grandparents, and we had a phenomenal foundation from our immediate parents and grandparents. And so I asked a loaded question to my girls earlier today, and I want the listeners to try to do the same thing for those who want to take some tips from what is it like to be successful, not just on the court, but successful in life. And I think my girls are in the right direction. They're in the driver's seat, and there's gonna be some tough times. But I asked them a question, and I asked you the same question, Coach. Mm-hmm. Do you think you are spoiled? And I asked my girls earlier today, did they think they were spoiled? And by me being the oldest, I definitely wasn't spoiled. And my wife, which is crazy, I'm talking like this, is because my wife, she's the baby of her family. Mm-hmm. And she'll probably tell you whether or not she's spoiled. She definitely probably sit there and say, I don't spoil her. But let me digress for a second, because I want to talk about something I've been wanting to talk about for the whole week. And this will tie into the tips and suggestions that will encourage the impact of a lot of people in this generation, that it don't take long for people to dismiss or overlook about old values and old foundational principles. I think a lot of the way that my success and my kids' success, and even my wife to a certain extent, came from the neighborhood. So what's happening to our neighborhoods? And I won't talk long about any one particular thing right now, but the neighborhood was as good as a principal in a school or a CEO of a company. Certain people in the neighborhood were as vital. I use that word vital. My wife works in the medical field, and when you start talking about vitals, and I coach at a high level, and you talking about vitals, you talking about results. And in the neighborhood, you grow up in a lot of different ways, and you have a camaraderie in a lot of different ways, either on the court, either going out to a party, either getting on the school bus, or even just a little reputation that you may have in your home about representation. And so the impact, I think, as I grew up, was I grew up watching and modeling behind other really good basketball players in the gym. I never forget, I walked in the gym at 14 years old and thought I was good and wanted to play with the big boys, and they made me say, no, you got to wait, go down the other end, and then we'll let you know when it's time to come and play down here with the big boys. I wasn't fortunate to be almost 6'9" like Coach Bell. But I paid my dues and learned, and part of what's going on right now in the 21st century kid is that, you know, to go outside in a 75 to 80 degree weather and pick up basketball on the asphalt court and play out there until dark time, that's a forgotten art. And realizing that that was a part of what groomed a lot of kids on the basketball or the football field or the baseball, you know. So I just think with modernization of a lot of things have slowed down the progression of a lot of kids in terms of their skill set with certain sports. But in my household that I live with my wife, I have to adhere to the marching orders. She used to always tell the girls, she used to say, not going to watch the TV tonight. And so what I did was I tried to wait till she went to sleep so I could watch the TV. Mm-hmm. But the reason for that was, she said, think about it in these terms. The way that most people are really successful is if they can read and if they can write. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not sitting there watching that TV where everybody on that TV has gotten their success, and then you stuck watching them and never learning how to read and learning how to write. And so, you know, we've had a competitive lifestyle throughout. My neighborhood experiences was very, very premium at a high level. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I wish, you know, people talk about, you know, I'm from the 757, so you're talking about the Allen Iversons and Michael Vick playing football. But there are some guys in our neighborhood that understood how to play the game of basketball the right competitive way, that never played high school or intercollegiate athletics, and were like the neighborhood gurus of basketball. And you had to earn your way through all that. But it made you a better person for that. Me and the guys, 4 or 5 of us, get lawnmowers and go cut grass and make a little extra change. Parents used to sit out there on their porch and say, hey, when y'all get finished playing that game, come over here and get these popsicles that we just made out of Kool-Aid. You know, kids don't do things like that now. You know, so we used to go from one street to another street 5 deep, trying to figure out which street had the best 5. So just little things like that build the character of how you're going to become a champion. You may not become a champion overnight, but the mentality that you breed, like both of my girls were real fortunate to be a part of what they call the Baptist Training Union for churches. And they competed in oratorical contests. Listen to me, listeners. Listen to what I'm saying. Get your kids in as much stuff that is viable to their existence other than sitting in front of a box playing video games. And so both of my girls competed at a high level of speaking because they knew one day they're going to have to interview for jobs or be able to say nicely to a young man, no, I'm not marrying you right now because I want to work on my career. So these are the kind of things that I feel real good about going from, like you said, A to Z. My girls right now are in a position that they're, you know, they have been modeled by 2 great grandparents, my mom and my wife's mom, and a sister-in-law that was at the highest level of English teaching in the school system. So we've had a really good, and my pastor, Marcellus Lee Harris Jr., and even our new pastor that we have right now, William J. Spencer. You know, just the people, and I will say that again to the listeners. Put your kids in as everything educational as possible. You know, get them off the internet. have them understanding reading the newspaper, looking what jobs are available, just being productive. And if I know what I know now, years ago I would have made better decisions. But the beauty of it all is what my wife said earlier. Sometimes you got to go through trials and tribulations to understand that it was done for a reason, and that a coach told me a long time ago. You asked me a question at the beginning of this little tirade I have right now on champions. A coach taught me a long time ago. He said, you know what? When you're good and you are exceptional, don't act like you ain't never been there. So the champion and these girls, they walk with a little quiet swag, and their mother and their father, we are very, very proud of them. But we're still a learning work in progress as we matriculate in this 21st century. So we're really blessed and thankful for people like you that's given us a little small platform to be able to share our story. My wife we ride in a car, all four of us. We might be going to get some ice cream. She was giving them mathematics. I thought she was asking them how much is this and how much is that. She was trying to make sure that we had enough money. But she was, people don't do things like that anymore. So we had a great group of people that supported us, and we're real fortunate and thankful for that, as well as our careers.
Yes, sir, Coach. I can't say how honored I am on my family, on my global platform, how honored we are to have a platform that's we have global. You and I, for a lack of better words, I hate using the word, but I guess it is what it is. A global fan club that appreciate who I was, and the banners and these type things. Anytime you and I know that, and that's a blessing. These things are a blessing, and I'm hoping to use to show some of these young men that, hey, you can play until you're 40 years old too. We got Coach Roland Ross and I have some ideas. I don't want to call it a blueprint, but you've produced numerous pros that have done it on a high level, Coach. And I don't want you to promise that I wouldn't ask you to toot your own horn, but I would love for you, and just talking a little more about basketball, we'll get going a little more. Talk about how influential, and I personally tell you all the time that I feel the career that you are having. So many of my friends got into coaching early, right? So let's take you. Jason Williford is a guy that is. He and I played in Iceland together, and he didn't want to play and travel and do all that. He wanted to start coaching early at like 22, 23. And he played with me in Iceland, and he went and coached at UVA or somewhere. I don't know where he started out coaching, but he got into it, right? I'm just getting into that coaching thing at an older age. Like once I stopped playing, now I coach my younger teams here in Richmond or Las Vegas. I enjoy teaching and training. Talk a little bit about, get into how you have evolved from a player to a guru, life guru, deacon. Talk about your transition, if you will, a little bit. I promise we wouldn't keep you long, and I'm going to stick to that. But just talk about the transition, because I now at 53 am still trying to make the transition from player to entrepreneur. Coach Ross, if you will.
Well, again, you put me on the spot, but that's okay, because I've been blessed, and I'll start by answering that question the same way I did with the how do I recruit. You know, I had an interesting transition from a basketball player into the coaching arena. Very few people. I played at Christopher Newport. I played at Ferrum Junior College. I had to go to junior college first before I came to Christopher Newport. And I had a chance at one point at the beginning of my career was to play into 4 college conference championship games in 4 years. So the mentality from the neighborhood of trying to have what they called back in the day a rep, which means you had to have some form of high distinction when you walked in a gym as a basketball player, or else you're going to be one of those flowers sitting on the sideline waiting for somebody to choose you, which means you'll never get a chance to play. So I learned at an early age, if I wanted to be considered pretty good, I had to put in the work. For the listeners, you know, I was jumping rope with a extension cord because I didn't have a rope. You know, I would jog I didn't have a track. I just said, hey, I'm going to jog from 34th Street to 16th Street and back, you know. I forgot not. We didn't have weight rooms like talking about it. So I did my normal 25 push-ups in the morning and 25 push-ups before I went to bed. Now, I didn't look like Milton because I wasn't cut up like that, but just learning what it was like to work on your craft to be considered good. And so when I had an opportunity to be retained and coach, the same mentality that we do with our girls is if you want to be good at something, you got to put in the work. And so in coaching, they always tell you it ain't about the X's and the O's, it's about the Jimmys and the Joes. And so I felt like if I could land some of the top players, then some of the good players will want to come to the places with the top players. And I was fortunate enough early in my career to get involved with some really, really good players that came and played at Christopher Newport. And then Milton, all you did was put the icing on the cake because you connected me to one of the best players ever come out of Richmond, Virginia, Ted Bats Berry. And, you know, that opened up that chain of recruiting into Richmond. And so I was able to take a mentality and carry it over into a career. And, you know, I was working 2 or 3 jobs, coaching in college, working at the school system. I was a pretty good track coach. So work is not, you know, foreign to me. What is foreign is, you know, how fast can I type on the computer? And, you know, I had a problem with direct deposit because I was so used to saying, hey, I want to see what my little bit of check looks like. I came through when you know, college coaching wasn't like it is now. You got paid a little stipend, and it was more important for you to coach young men and make them young men. And right now, the biggest accolade I have that money can't buy is that I probably retained relationships and been to over 50 to 75 weddings, and I've seen in 40 years, I've probably seen over 500, 600 players, and I probably can name at least 300 of them by name right now. That's the biggest accomplishment in what I've done in terms of my career And there obviously I've learned some things along the way. We won a national championship this year, and the guy I work for right now has taught me a whole lot. They call it, when you get to a point where you're not a dinosaur, they say, Coach, you're learning some new things. I got to make the listeners laugh, right? So they came up with all these words for the language that everybody speaks. And so they said, Coach, no cap. I'm looking around thinking, well, I got my head out. Let me take my head off. You said no cap. I thought it mean no cap on my head. So I started to take my head. They said, no, we're not talking about that. They said, nice drip. I'm looking around thinking, somebody got a water hose, give it a spray me. They said, no, we're talking about your clothes. So the funny part of growing into the 21st century, I'm learning what works and doesn't work. And I guess that's a testimony to my family and my faith that as long as I continually am open-minded to learn and put my God first in everything that I do, and that my family is going to be okay and supportive, those are some of the biggest tips that I can give them right now, because I can't, there's so many things in the game of basketball or even track that are skill related. But one thing you can't teach is how much heart you have to have in order to be as good as you want to be. And so, again, Milton, I thank you for all that you've done with me and some of the guys. I've come into Richmond and been able to recruit, and we've had some good ones. I heard you say something about McDonald's All-American, right?
Yes, sir, Coach. You have taught me to use information because kids love information, and so I try to share as much of it on these platforms because kids respect, I think personally, they respect people that have done it or played the game or whatever it is. If you got to a high level, they respect that. Or if you played in high school and college and pro or what have you, kids seem to respect that. They don't really listen to much, but they seem to respect on Wikipedia and all that stuff. So the good thing is you and I have won championships around the world, and if that's what you're looking for, a young fella, in order to believe what I'm saying to you is real, then okay, yes, I've done this. Go look it up. I'm back in our day, you couldn't look that information up. So I'm blessed to have a Wikipedia page because it's hard for you and I to, especially you, it's hard for you to explain all of the things that you've done over a course of time. So it's
well. Let me intervene and say this. Part of being a part of something special helps you understand what it looks like. And that's what I say to people when they ask, they say, how do you feel about this? And how do you feel about that? I said, well, I know what it looks like to work toward winning a championship. I know what it looks like in order for a kid to perform at his best in front of a college coach. I know what it looks like to go to a guidance counselor and ask a guidance counselor, pull up someone's grades, and they say, wow, that kid wants to go to a really good academic school, but his transcript is not supporting that. So I know what these things look like. And so, like I said on part one, information to the parents is crucial so that they can reinforce, and support the dreams. You talked to my girls earlier today about dreams and dream big. But dreams are not able to be complete if you don't take care of some what we call little small details, like going to class, getting good grades, having a good work ethic, having good reports coming from the counselor and people that you play for, be a good teammate, get a part of a good program that that have values. Like one of our big core values for Christopher Newport is brotherhood. Once you get there, you're a part of a brotherhood. That's like an unspoken fraternity of guys that are all playing for the same reason, pursuing the same goals. And so those are just little things. Like this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about making sure parents, when your child is in the 8th and 9th grade, make sure they're taking the right courses that will give them maybe an opportunity to play at the highest level academically. Everybody, are not going to be blessed to go to Harvard and Yale. But look at the other schools that are really good academic, like Bucknell, or American, or the second tier Ivy League schools. So everything is about preparation and process. If you prepare your young man to sign up for financial aid and to get ahead on his academics, then the recruiting process will come into effect, and then it won't be a whole lot of glitches. This generation is, it's okay to have the AAU. I know I spoke before about the AAU connection. That's all right. That helps with the basketball side. But let's take care of the little small detail sides that make a big difference. So yeah, as long as they're prepared, and then the process becomes easier. But I can get long-winded, man. I get excited when somebody asks me, like, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And the first thing I would say is to buy really high-level tennis shoes doesn't correlate into high-level basketball performance. Do first things first. And in closing, this is a little terminology that we use all the time, and it can apply to every phase of your life, especially if you are distracted. Keep the main thing the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. I jumped in my car and I was driving up here to see my girls so we can get on this podcast. I told my wife, I said, man, that car going fast. But you know what? I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to keep the main thing the main thing. And then, I'm still learning. I'm a work in progress. Do I want to coach at another level? I just want to be the very best I can be where I am. A young coach told me the other day, he said, hey, he was giving some advice out. He said, just make sure where your boots are, make sure they're doing the best work that they can do where your boots are. I mean, if wherever you are planted at right now, be the very best that you can be where you are. So we just got to keep the main thing the main thing. And then there are all kind of workshops and clinics and, scouting services and, all kinds of things like that, But do a reflection and say, hey, what is my schedule for my child for this year? Keep an organized journal on recruiting, academics first, recruiting second, family is always first.
Yes, sir, Coach. That's incredible. Of course, here on the East Coast, we're here close to 1:30, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So we will have some closing remarks. We have some personal words of wisdom that we would like to share. But Coach, I think that we have given a great introduction, and as we said, we'll be talking more about. We're going to close with Bettina Ross, and we're going to give her a chance to maybe take a few minutes to kind of give some information on her. We had planned on having more time for her, but we wouldn't be able to finish without having her explain to our listeners what she's going to be traveling to a new country, explain some things so that our listeners will have some information. Of course, we will have on our social media, on our Instagram, Facebook, all of our social media platforms, we'll have more information about Bettina's traveling and some more things, some more information, so that those that want to reach out and support the Ross family will have that information. Both Victoria and Bettina, do you guys currently have social media that you would like to share now, by any chance? Just to, I know young people move and function with social media, and it's very important. So we'll start out with the younger girls. Do you guys have any emails or social media that you would like to use for? If you have some young ladies that are listening that need some inspiration or want to reach out to you, I know Coach Ross and your mom probably have one for work. But if you guys have some emails or something where people can kind of get some more information and are able to support some of the great things that you guys are doing, I would love to get that information, as I call them, social media handles or ways of getting in touch or profile, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. As the youngest, I do not have many social media platforms, but the ones I do have, I'm one of those young people that use my email, and I use it often as a student. And for those listening, it's a Liberty email. It's B as in boy, E Ross at liberty.edu. That's B as in boy, E Ross at liberty.edu. And if I can speak for my sister, who's on Facebook under Victoria Ross, she's also on Instagram under the handle T.Ross. I'm sorry, it's T.Ross.97. That's T.Ross.97. And you can keep up with us and find all different types of inspiration and motivation on those platforms.
Incredible. And I'm sorry to ask for profiles where we come from. You don't ask personal information, but we are welcoming you guys into our Milton Bell Global family, and so we are going to hopefully have some people. We are a big family, and we try to support each other from within. So I can't wait to have that information and be able to send out some emails and talk about it more here on our platform, and get the information out, Coach, that we want to have in support of this young lady who we know are doing some great things. And both of these young ladies who are doing some great things with their lives, we support. The name of our program is Youth and Society, and one of the reasons that I'm blessed to have a platform, to have your daughters on, your family on, Coach Ross. I want to apologize. I'm getting over a sinus infection, so if I sound a little, my wife has me drinking tea, Coach. So I want to apologize. I'm a little hoarse tonight. I think you and I have been talking all day, past 2 days, 3 days. So I'm a little bit hoarse, but what words of wisdom would you like to leave for this particular podcast, Coach Ross? We always have you with us. We've had you before, but now we have your family. So if it's possible, we would love to go back to your wife, starting off with Mrs. Ross. What closing words would you have for parents, not just basketball parents? Of course, Coach has been doing this since, I think he told me 1977, but what positive words of wisdom do you have to bestow upon our female listeners, as a mother, wife, daughter, deacon at the church, overall 100% positive family? Ms. Ross, what do you attribute it to? What do you have to share, or what would you like to share with this short amount of time that we have today?
Yes. Well, I think it's very important to work together as husband and wife and as parents, and allow your children to know that they do have a voice, but there is a responsibility for them to make good decisions. And I do know, we all are not perfect. We fall down, we make mistakes, even as husband and wives and parents. But it's important to always be honest and open with your children and with your relationship with your husband and with your partner. Always be open, honest, have good communication, and just remember that your children are watching you. So it's very important what you say, what you do, and how you do it. So those are important things to remember. And with this family, we always try to put God first. And then Roland and I, we definitely, in terms of our relationship, always working on trying to make us better, improve on our relationship skills and how we get along with each other, because our children are watching. Because one day, guess what? They're going to grow up and they're going to repeat some of the things they have seen or heard. So hopefully it's be some good things that your children are watching. And that's what we always believe, that we always work as a team and always try to have each other's back.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Coach Ross, take us on out, brother. We're going to end this one almost 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. I once again apologize. 1:34 to be exact a.m. I apologize. What words of wisdom would you call it, Obi-Wan? As I call you, what words of wisdom are you going to take us out with until the next time we have a chance to share some knowledge, some information, some of our blueprint? What words do you have to bestow upon our listeners globally?
I'm sitting in my daughter's fantastic, amazing home. They got a nice little apartment, and I'm looking at the word love. Okay, and I'm just real big on you in this one life that we're living. If you don't understand that you have to love yourself first, love yourself. And I'm not going to get over spiritual, because this is not. I don't want to cross that line. But love yourself to the point where you're very transparent, as well as very connected to some foundational principles of right and wrong. If you love yourself and you have good foundational principles, then guess what? You're going to grow up and you're going to be just fine. But you got to love yourself, just as God loved others. And hey, man, you've been worse than the clock, man. You keeping time. This is early for us, man. This is the time we get up and decide to go outside and try to get a one-on-one basketball game. The darker it gets, the way we hoop the most.
Hey, Coach. Well, we are. I have a couple screens going, 4 or 5 screens going. So I'm watching the football results. I'm talking to you guys. I try to be able to do more than one thing. I'm watching football, talking to you guys, writing stuff down. Ms. Ross said a few things that I wrote down some things that Victoria and Bettina said, and I try to learn something new every day, and so I feel comfortable with this being our. Unfortunately, we'll have to shut down. I mean, we can keep going until 9 o'clock in the morning. No problem, because it's one of those things that I think you are understanding now, Coach, and I think I explained to you before we did our first podcast together. I says, Coach, this thing is contagious, man. Once you get a chance to use media for a positive influence, so you take a positive person like yourself, you can spread so much energy Yes, by words or people that you meet in the Tidewater area, but I've tried to get you with your positivity to come on our show and to, hey, man, if we can merge your positivity with my network, right? Because every time I talk to you, I have my wife says we talk on the phone, and I start quoting everything you say, or I really write this stuff down, so I hold you in such high regard that it's and I didn't even get a chance to play for you. That's the crazy part. And
Listen, if you had played for me, you'd be still playing at 50.
yes, Coach. Hey, I believe it, Coach. Coach, if you say it, I believe it. Hey, as usual.
Hey, you would not. Hey, look, the only like right now at my age, I'm just a tad bit older than you and a little bit younger than somebody older than me. But look, I got a question for you.
Yes, Coach. Of course.
And we talked about this the other day, and my kids looked at me like, "Wow, where did that come from?" Well, my wife told me all along. She always said, no, we in this household we aspire to be, we want to be the best we can be. We don't want to be average.
Yes.
But I got a word for you. I want you to tell me why, and this may take 60 seconds. Why do you want to be that talked about significance versus not being significant? Why would you want to be significant and not being significant? You understand that?
Yes. You're asking. I'm just trying to make sure the thing that we talked about. When was it? Yesterday that I put on Instagram. That I quoted you on. Is that the same one?
Yeah. So
Yes.
that is tied in. That's tied into everything tonight as we close.
Yes.
Our family tries to, listen. We're not by far. We're not flawless. By far, we're not flawless. Okay, but to lead a life of significance is impactful. So you should never wake up saying, "I don't want to be significant. I don't want to. I don't want to be good. I don't want to be average." That should never enter your mind. So we want to lead a life of significance so we can impact someone. You got some people out there say, "Hey, man, you know what? I want to conquer the world." Well, you know what? I do not want to go to the moon, but God knows, man. I wouldn't. I see them shooting stars all the time. So, God got me in the right place at the right time. I think I know what my ministry is, and I think caring about people, loving people, and just showing what hard work is all about. I used to tell people all the time, if you walk around with change in your pocket, people used to come up to you and say, "Hey, man, you got any change? You got any spare change?" I said, "No, well, you probably need to get a spare job."
Yeah, yes.
So
that sounds like you, Coach. That sounds like something you would say.
I'm just as real as they come.
Yeah.
Kids say, "Coach," I said, "Young man, tell me about your game, man. I'm awesome." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "I had 4 points, 2 assists, and 1 steal." I said, "I know some people did that all the time." He said, "Yeah, that was my highest."
Right.
So leading a life of significance in whatever your journey may be the very best at it, and then you will have no regrets.
Right.
Maya Angelou said that, do something so well. Listen to me, listeners. Do something so well that people won't take their eyes off of you. I think that was Maya Angelou.
That's tough, Coach. Coach, that's tough as nails right there.
Hey, look,
But it's real.
If it wasn't Maya Angelou, I forgot who said it, but I'm thinking it was her.
You never cease to amaze me with your quotes and I mean, like I said, that's simple. That's something that the average person can understand, right? And it's one of those things that either you want to be the best or one of the best at whatever it is you're doing. Education, any form of education, or any sport, or anything that you do. If I build a toy car, when I was a kid, just going back, when I was a kid, I wanted to build the best toy car because we all competed. And I didn't want any glue on the doors. I wanted it to be clean because we all built them together on the front porch. We all went to the store together and got them. I wanted to be the best at what I'm doing. So that's something that I think you've had a chance to not only embody the method or the way of living, the theory, but you have been blessed enough to have kids who understand your way of life and a wife who understands. You guys have an understanding of what our way of life will be, and it's one of the blessings. I talk about the blessings of our families, and so I'm looking forward to continuing of the Champion and the Ross sisters. This is part one. We will have multiple parts going forward with the project that we have going on. We will also be having a day party and some other events during the Virginia Union University Homecoming in Richmond, Virginia, October 18th through the 20th. We'll have some more podcasting going on during that time with some of our basketball legends in Richmond, Virginia. Coach and I will actually be at that, and where Coach will actually be in town for the podcasting. We plan on doing some podcasting there, and hopefully we'll be able to have Mrs. Ross with us as well. And Coach, we'll have to get this thing videoed and live and have it going on the YouTube so that we can kind of give people a chance to see you and to see that you are a real person, that and give people a chance to understand that your family is real. Your daughters are real people. She's traveling to Africa. You and your wife are doing it. I won't say have done it. You're still doing it. Not only have you raised your kids, but you're helping people at your church raise their kid, helping people with businesses. Coach, I think you have so many people that you're trying to help, me and my family being one of them. And it's only 24 hours in a day, but I heard Floyd Mayweather say 24 hours, if you do it correctly, is enough to help some people and be able to take care of your family doing it, right? And putting faith in a higher power that you will receive what it is you need to continue doing the project that you've been, or that has been put on your heart. So I don't want to, we'll go ahead and shut it on down, Coach, but I'm looking forward to having you guys back. I'm looking forward to our listeners having a chance to check in. We'll be sending out some emails and putting up some social media posts, and have some chances for you guys to have some interaction, and for them to understand that I'm blessed to have you as a mentor. And so, of course, whatever you support, I support. And it's two young ladies that we know that we're going to be helping, and your daughter traveling, and Victoria with her endeavors coming up. So I'm blessed to have you a part of my Milton Bell family, Coach. That goes without saying, but I will be. This thing says we've been on over an hour, so I feel so bad. But we'll close down part one. Victoria, Bettina, and my Mother Ross, Miss Bettina as well. The Ross sisters, we will be ending. Coach Roland Ross, Obi-Wan will be ending tonight. We'll have some more information up for you guys in the morning. And so we look forward to spreading this message. I can't wait to hit the button on the ending of the show because it goes live right away. So please have a chance. Like we said, we're close to 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. It'll probably be live by 2:05, maybe 2:30, definitely. So, Coach, we're going to sign off, my brother. Once again, I'm honored to have you and your family tonight. Almost 2 o'clock on the East Coast. But I think we got some things accomplished. I'm sure we could have done more, and we will. We'll use this platform. We will continue, God willing, to be able to use this platform to spread some messages and get some messages out across. I know you and I have a trip coming up going to Argentina with a group of young men that feel as though they have the capabilities. We'll be having you speak some positive words to them and your incredible influence on young men that are trying to take it to the next level. I'm going from the college level, making that jump, right? Because you and I know that's an incredible jump. That's a whole nother podcast. That's way, well, that will be coming up soon. But this, I'm excited, my brother. And man, I can't wait to tell Coach Bo Jones that we stayed up 2 o'clock in the morning podcasting. He will not believe it. Coach Bo Jones is one of our coaches that helps with the pros here in Richmond and in Miami. And Coach, I'm excited to be able to. I think you and I know some more positive people that can help these young people get to where us adults want them to be. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying.
Absolutely, man. You know, I know you closing out, man, but they tell you also, Scripture, too much is given, much is required.
Yes, sir.
And so, you know, again, I from the Ross family, we thank you so much for allowing the girls to be able to talk about the trip and their jobs. And it's important, man, when you deal with youth, young minds, young vibrant minds, and a lot of energy in some of these kids, and don't know where they're coming from in terms of they leave the house in the morning, and they don't have a lot of resources, and that's another discussion for another day. But today, man, my girls are real excited about, my daughter, the little one, is going to Africa, going to Nairobi, Kenya. At her church that she attends, and that's a member here in Richmond, it's called Heights, 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 tremendous church. Pastor Josh is sending a team to Kenya. And they've done that now, I think, several years. And little Bettina is excited to go. And when you get somebody excited to go to serve and help somebody, money can't buy that. And so that's where we are right now as a family, because it also tells you when you bless somebody else, you're going to be blessed. And sometimes your blessing may not come in money. It may come in relationships, or it may come in being able to see somebody, true story, and I'll close with this. In my church service today, the pastor said something so profound. He was talking about this young lady that did the speaking at Biden's inauguration, the girl who read the poem. You remember that, Coach Bell?
Yes, sir, Coach. Yes, sir.
The girl who read the poem, he put a spin on it today by stating, all of us, each and every one of us, have weaknesses that are flipped around, and your weakness now actually turns into a strength. So apparently, this young lady had some kind of medical issues and things going on, and she made a comment. She said, "Hey, well, I can't do that, but I can focus on my writing." And she wrote a poem that got her right up, at the highest level. And so it was stated to us today, man, a lot of our weaknesses as people, when you take time to think about it, it's not really a weakness. It makes your strengths that much stronger. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not 6'9" like you, and I can't do some other things like some other people, but I'm also a realist to understand that there's some other people can't do what I do either. Mm-hmm. And
teamwork, coach. That's why on the team I get the rebound. I'm the big man. I get the rebound. You don't have to, we the team. I get the rebound and I give it to you quick. The guard, boom. Now we running, huh? I'm running the wing now. Once I get the rebound and give it to you, I'm running so you can throw me this alley hoop at the basket.
Hey, you know what? Hey, in closing, watch this. It's a family of 4 of us, right?
Yes.
Guess what position we all played in basketball?
Which one, coach?
We all played the same position. Point guard.
Hey.
Leadership.
That's beautiful.
My wife was a point guard in college, a D2 All-American. I was a point guard. Right. Yeah. I was my own All-American. Mm-hmm. and both of my girls play point guard, man. It takes a special group of people that's willing to work together to try to bring about a change.
Yes. I'm definitely, coach. I want to. Once again, we are honored. I'm going to shut this session down, but in closing, I want Bettina has some. Little Bettina has some words of wisdom that I would like to be shared on air. Bettina, you still with us, young lady?
I am.
Okay.
I'm just listen.
Okay, take your time. I apologize for keeping you. Well, this is early for you guys, young people. Coach Ross, Miss Ross, this is early for young people. For me, it's so I apologize once again. But you had some words of wisdom. We also have an email, a letter that we will be sending out and making available about Bettina's trip to Nairobi, Kenya. Coming up, we'll be sharing multiple ways, by voice and by word. And we will hand it over to you, young lady, and I would love for our listeners to hear the beautiful words come from the author of this quote, if you will.
Yes. Before I share, thank you for supporting me and just getting this, allow me to tell my story, really. And thank you to all the listeners in advance for all your support and love. I really appreciate it. The quote I wanted to share is this. It says, "Stop trying to be made known and start doing what you want to be known for." That's stop trying to be made known and start doing what you want to be known for.
Wow. Okay. Of course, that is my second time hearing them, and they give me the same thoughts from when the first time that I heard the words. So I'm hearing you. I think you emailed me them the first time and I read them for myself, but to hear you, I think that's my first time. That's my first time hearing you repeat your own words. And so I think that makes them even more important. Your father spoke of Maya Angelou and some words that she used and shared with us as the world. And so, not to put pressure on you to be Maya Angelou by no means, but I think she is the epitome of what a female or a human being, I don't even want to make it about gender, a human being can be, and her impact globally. Your father and I use the word daily, weekly, or the times that we talk in email, what have you. Global, we talk about global basketball. And so having a global impact, whether it be whatever, Jay-Z comes to mind when I think of global impact. Oprah Winfrey. I think in our conversation that we had pre-recording, we, us five, you four and myself, we talked about Oprah being one of my idols. She's not even a male. But when you're doing it the correct way, you don't have to be African American to be someone who I look up to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not from a standpoint, I may not know Oprah personally, but I like what she's portrays. I like what her brand, her Coach Ross, her movement. Oprah's movement seems to be, she gives away cars. She starts schools. If I'm not mistaken, Coach Roland Ross and Miss Ross, and I didn't even bring this up in the pre-recording, the conversation we had when I was writing down my notes. Doesn't Oprah have a school in Africa that is giving some things back, and she's done a lot of things on the continent of Africa? Don't quote me on the amount, but I know that Oprah Winfrey spends her own money on the continent of Africa. So for you to be giving your time, right? It's to me, it's really not about money. It's about your time, right? For myself, for instance, I could give a kid $5 and he could go and run down there and get himself or Coca-Cola or some snacks or whatever. He could go himself. But you could take a player after practice, you take him through the store before you take him home, and you spend $5 on him, ask him how school's going. Coach Roland Ross understands this. Ask him, how's everything going in your life, man? How's home? Boom. Okay. Now you drop him at home or you take him to McDonald's after practice. That time, Coach Ross mentioned it, and my mother was the same way. She taught me many things in the car on the way to school, right? And so that time that you have, or we have with coaches, as coaches, that we have with players, students, our own kids, I think it sounds like Mr. and Ms. Ross will agree that time in the car, if used correctly, is important.
Yeah.
In closing, this is I keep saying that, Coach Ross and Ms. Ross, keep saying I'm going to close out, but the good thing, this is our program, and we can stay as long as need be, because I think the message needs to be heard. And once again, this is part 1 of the series, The Champion and the Ross Sisters. This is part 1. We'll call it episode 1. And so, Coach, I keep bringing it back to you. I keep saying that we're going to go, but the positivity is overwhelming. As the young people say, I'm charged up. It's when you spread positive energy, or when I feel like I've made an impact through words, just an impact, period. It's I know you have a full day tomorrow on campus. I'm down in Newport News, so you have to travel back or to Newport News down in that area. So we're going to hopefully you carry this momentum tomorrow and have a great day. It sounds like you'll be low on sleep tonight. I take full responsibility, and Mrs. Ross as well. But I want to end, and I want the listeners to understand what we've tried to do tonight and what we've tried to share tonight from a family standpoint. Coach, I'm hoping we made you proud, my brother. I'm hoping we did.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach.
Yep, absolutely. And my wife, I think she's so excited because I didn't talk as much.
But this is our first one. This is our first one, and of course, like I said, the company email is milton.bell@miltonbellbasketball.com. Once again, that's Milton, MILTON .BELL at MILTONBELLBASKETBALL.com. And the company phone number is area code 702-908-1501. And you guys can reach out to us here at the company. You guys have the emails of the young ladies, and Coach and I think we will be sharing more information. I actually will be putting up everyone's email for those that want to contact the Ross family to become a part of the movement that they are putting together, and the gifts, the wisdom that they're willing to share tonight with my audience. I'm so thankful and honored. So tonight, for our Milton Bell Global Media podcast here from the East Coast, tonight the Champion and the Ross sisters will be shutting down. We want to thank everyone for listening tonight, and stay tuned for more information concerning our part 2 with the Ross family, with the homecoming events of Virginia Union University, for more training here in Richmond, Virginia. And stay tuned we also will be having the 702 podcast that will be coming up for the weekend, Thursday and Friday. I think we will be on location. And so, Coach Ross, we're going to sign off, my brother, this time for real. But we're going to have you back for 3rd and 4th and 5th. And hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to have 100 of these. I'm sure it'll take billions. We don't have enough recording time to get the word out. But I'm honored and blessed. And I'm looking forward to having you and your family back. So thanks, you guys, for being with us, and all of our listeners from around the world. Thank you for hanging in there with us tonight.
Thank you.